Hello again, everyone. I'm happy to continue in what we started learning the last class last week. I hope it was okay with you, and it was something with a meaning that you can evaluate and see the importance and the beauty of the things that our teacher, the Rambam, told us. I think we can start with just a short reminder about what we talked about in the last class.
Perhaps someone who can give a short description what we learned last week. Maybe someone who knows, who heard everything last week, can tell us something about last week. Remind us about last week. పోయిన వారం మనం నేర్చుకున్న విషయాలను కొన్నిటిని ఎవరన్నా కొంచెం చెప్పగలిగితే బాగుంటుంది.
Shalom, sir.
Shalom, sir.
Nice to glad to meet you, sir.
Thank you.
The last week that you have taught us, what I understood is the main point is that if one person want to teach Torah, and if it is Torah to the person who has been learning Torah should be some level of understanding. Because without understanding of common level, we cannot understand the Torah only. When he wants to learn Torah, he have to be in a level that he could understand in a normal level, normal things. That's the main thing that I have learned in the last week. That's the main concept that we have been taught. That the person needs a level before learning Torah.
Which level? What level?
It's a level of human beings. That changes from animal soul to human soul. One should not be like an animal soul. You have to convert to a human soul before learning the Torah.
That's right. I can just say that I'm not sure I remember, but there was the word I asked you for was
Moral, naitika viluvalu.
Naitika viluvalu. So
Moral values.
Moral values.
That's right. But that's what you actually explained. It's very fine in your words to explain the need of the natural moral of man, which is required for the further step to go forward and learn the Torah and get to the higher moral level of the Torah that the Torah requires. Yes, that's perfectly right, every word. Very well. Thank you.
So that.
So
last week,
yes, please.
week in your forward explanation about Rambam, that in the forward, that the third line is called for putting this treatise out in this order, Nezikin is good. Nezikin means order, sir, or is it?
Nezikin, that means the law of the laws of property damages between people. That means my car hit my neighbor's car, so he now sue me to court to pay him the damage. That's about what Nezikin is about.
So this chapter, how you had put it in the order of before Nezikin?
So the Avot, actually what you're talking about is exactly what one of the interesting points that the Rambam Maimonides talks about in the preface to to Shmona Prakim, in the preface to 8 chapters, which are the Rambam's preface to the Masechet Avot.
The father's tractate.
Father's tractate, right? So that's really a good point to ask. Actually, you are asking a right question. Why does Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, Rabbi Yehuda Prince, decided to put the father's tractate just in the middle of the Nezikin series, Nezikin volume, which actually talks about personal and like municipal rules to avoid damage of one to another, and not put it before it starts. That's a good. Yes.
So actually, these 8 chapters is placed in between the tractates of Nezikin.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Okay.
Okay. So I think what we started talked about. First of all, just a brief reminder. We started talking about the Rambam interpretation. Actually, the Rambam preface to his interpretation to the Father's tractate. The Father's tractate, as we recall, it's the most basic and fundamental moral codex of the Jewish writings. It's the basic moral learning that every Jew is learning, and what was missing there was the theoretical aspect of the moral. The Father's tractate only talks about how to behave, how to properly behave, one with himself, one with the other, and one with God. Actually, there are 3 aspects. We will come to talk about it soon, I think. It's called this preface of the Rambam, the Maimonides, called 8 chapters, but actually it has 9 chapters. Sometimes it happens with such writings. It's very simple because the Rambam, our teacher, he wrote first a short preface that we are now starting to go over, I hope. And then he wrote his 8 chapters as the preface for his interpretation of Father's tractate. Okay, very well. So,
Are there any questions?
are there any questions? Someone?
No, sir. Actually, I had that talk only.
Okay.
Okay,
You
very
can
well.
continue.
Okay, so we mentioned I don't know the name of the person that talks before and remind us, but as he said, we talked about Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. That means that the basic moral behavior is a precondition to start learning the Torah. And the Torah requires it. When we want to talk about moral, what is moral? Moral is, or ethics, it's the doctrine of good and bad, right? We want to learn what is the good way to behave, to act, to conduct, and to avoid the bad behavior. This is our goal, our mission. And sometimes a man can think that it's very easy. I just have to be a nice person, not to harm anyone, and to obey all the state rules. And why do we have to start learning it? And what is our motivation to learn? So that's this is a point I want to emphasize for you, that and the Rambam also says that it's not at all. It's far from the truth, and actually it's really not an easy and not simple thing to follow the moral demands in this world for us, for human beings, for every human being. It's a universal issue. And why such a difficult task? We have when we come to read the Father's Tractate, we encounter some difficulties both in the theoretical aspect and both in the pragmatical aspect. For example, the Father's Tractate is saying something like everything is known, everything what happened is expected and known, but nonetheless everyone has a free opportunity, free will to act as they choose. So this is a quite paradoxical or contradicting saying, right? From one point, God knows everything, what was, what will be, and from the other side, we human beings, we have a freedom to choose what's going to be, what we will act. So that's a kind of example for a theoretical issue that is hard to digest and to understand. And there is another example of a different aspect that is hard to follow in the Tractate of Fathers. It's like where the Tractate of Fathers saying in one of its verses, it says, let there be the poor people welcome in your house, like poor people that have no food to eat, they should be regularly at your table and eat. I don't know how it is in your city, but it's not an easy thing to follow. People are struggling to find and to help poor people and to give charity, and so this is like a short two examples demonstrating that it's not so easy, and you have to look at it carefully to be able to follow exactly the best way of moral behavior. So then, yes, please.
I just want to ask a doubt about this.
Yes.
Coming to charity, to invite poor people to our houses. So, what kind of poor people? Because nowadays we can't trust people. They might be thieves or they might be robbers. We don't know who they are and what. So, how can we allow people to stay with us in such a case?
Right. I think it's a good question. It also shows how non-trivial is to follow, because it's not written. Every detail is not written in the Father's Tractate. Father's Tractate only says, let poor people be welcome and regular you in your house. But as you say, and you are perfectly right, you don't want to be in dangerous letting criminals enter your house and to your family house. That's a tough decision that when you come to live the moral life, it's many times it's not a clear saying and a clear halacha or clear religious rule, but you have to be open-minded, and you have to do the cons and pros and decide if you will to take the chance and let a poor suspicious man into your house or not. It's a work of life, I believe. It's a work of life, and that's why it's also important to have
when coming to Jewish people, it is considered as okay. But we as Gentiles living in a Gentile country, we have diversified people. So in that case, it will be a very different thing for us.
Mm-hmm. You mean when you come to live in a
accepting the poor. I mean that when coming to accept the poor, if it is for a Jewish community in Israel or in a Jewish community, it will work.
You're saying it's easier for us, I see.
Yeah, because all of you are Jews and all of you know halakha, Torah, everything you know.
I wish it was like what you say, but it's not this. It's not exactly the same. We have, unfortunately, we have also a lot of we have secular people that are not following.
But we are living in a very secular. We are also living in secular, but very lower stage. Our level is very lower stage.
I
We
see.
can't expect people to be honest.
I see. But I think if according to your own judgment, you think that it's not the proper manner to enter to take such a poor people to your house, so I think it's the reasonable thing to do. It's not in contradiction with what the Father's Tractate is saying, because every verse, every sentence has its limitations. So, but anyway, I think it's a good question. I can also ask Rav Sherki for this question of you. But you can, for example, you can try focusing in helping the poor of your nation first, or helping the poor that you know that are from a better area, or such other similar ideas that you can find.
Yeah, yes sir, that actually we are doing like that. Presently, the charity works and all, we are going to poor people and helping out those who are far off places near also. But the other question is, when we go and give some help, they bless us in the name of idols.
Oh, I see. Right.
So at that time, is it the correct way to give to such persons? Because they bless us with their idols.
Right, I see. I think it's definitely a halacha question, but basically I think if you are not willing to accept such a blessing, and you do what you do, not regardless of whether you will get such a bless or not, so it's the case is better. So it's better. If you know for sure that they are like a missionaries, or they want to teach and convert your beliefs, so maybe it's a bit more difficult. But if you are looking at the pure pure act of helping a poor. Everything is okay?
Sir, power went off, no problem, just continue.
Oh, okay, no problem, sure. So,
Yeah, on that.
so I think if you focus on the right deed and the good deed itself, it may be acceptable. But you're right. It's a question in place, and I can also do some research for this question as well.
No, we will not be influenced by, no, they don't want to teach us or educate us. We will not be influenced by them, but they want to bless by their God's name. That is the point.
Yes, I see. Yes.
In no way we will be influenced by them. But when we go to help or when we give charity work, they want to bless the name of their idols.
Yes, I think that easily you can try to avoid helping those specific people and try to help some other poor people that have no issue of this type.
So basically,
But
basically all our idol worshippers around us.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah,
So
all
you.
our idol worshippers. Whether they are Hindus or they are Christians.
I see.
all
So
our idol-
you live.
Now,
Your place is very interesting. You're not in a boring place.
always struggling, sir. Always struggling.
Okay, that's very good. Very well. So after we see how non-trivial, how difficult it is to follow and to obey these conduct demands, we can ask ourselves, so what is the point for this? Why do we need to struggle so much to get to be a moral person? And what will we earn? What is the benefit of being such a person? As we found in the ancient philosophers, in the Greek philosophers, it's called the ethics. They have a moral doctrine, which talk about only about. Is it okay? It talks about human moral, human behavior. That the goal of the ethics is to have a good society with no bad behavior, with no hurting one of each other, and it's where our sages, our ancient wise people call it Hasidut or Hasidism, and in the Babylonian Talmud, what the Rambam talks about one suggested that is suggested by these sages in the Babylonian Talmud, and they are saying, if you want to be a righteous man, if you want to be a Hasid, so you have to follow the tractates of fathers. You have to follow the words that our father said as for a moral behavior. So then we can ask, actually we already talked about the issue that actually the father tractate are located in the middle of the Nezikin series. So how come it is there and not in a different place? Coming to answer this question, I think we come to talk about a major work for the person that follow God's demand and God's will. Actually, what the Rambam talks here in the preface, he is saying a partial sentence. He's saying you have to follow. That's what written in the Babylonian Talmud. You have to follow the father tractates, but actually, the Babylonian Talmud says a different thing. He says there are three options and not only one option, or three aspects. For example, the first idea that found in the Babylonian Talmud is, if you want to be a righteous, a Hasid, a moral man, you have to follow the Nezikin, meaning you have to be careful not to hurt your neighbor, your friend, and in this aspect you have to be a righteous man. And then the second opinion is what the Rambam actually said. It's if you want to be a righteous, you have to follow the father's tractate. That's the second opinion. And there is also a third opinion, which is if you want to be a righteous man, you have to follow the blessing tractate. We have a tractate of blessing God for the food we eat, for the smell for everything actually we enjoy, we have joy of. So we found in the Babylonian Talmud three ways, three opinions, and the Rambam, it looks like the Rambam already wanted to save us the effort to decide ourselves what is the best way. But actually we can contemplate and think what are the three options means. We in the Judaism we have this famous three aspects that are suitable here, and they are called a man. When a man comes to do his moral work, he has three ways of working. The first one is between a man and his fellow and his friend. The second is between a man and himself, and the third way of a moral work is between the man and God. So when I live my life, I encounter these three ways of working. I meet my friend and I have to behave and be a moral person towards any man, woman that I come in touch with. But I also have to work about myself, about my thoughts, about my feelings. And the third thing I have to work is my relationship to God, to Hashem. Okay, I have to. So what actually comes we come to realize from the Babylonian Talmud here is that there are three aspects, and you have to think what is the most important for you to stress and to focus. So a man can think, okay, perhaps to do a moral work with myself, it's easy. I know myself, it's easy. To do a moral work with my relationship to God, it's also easy. God created me, so God knows how I act, and I can always act according to what He expects from me. And maybe the most difficult issue is to be a good man. We have a saying in Hebrew, להיות בן אדם, like תהיה בן אדם. It's like be a decent, a proper man. So maybe maybe the most difficult thing is to be nice and righteous with your friends, with the others, not fight with the other, not as the 7 commandments of Noahide, right? Not to thief, not to hurt, not to kill. Maybe a man can think that that's the most important work to focus in one way, but in other way, a man can think also that okay, my friend, I know my friends. It's we are from the same city. It's okay. We talk similar. We can be okay together, morally speaking. Myself also. I mean, with myself it's also easy. I know myself. I know where I am bad and good. But maybe the hardest thing to do is the work with the relationship to God. It's like expecting me to behave according to the Kadosh Baruch Hu, that He is infinite and He has infinite virtues and aspects that I cannot imagine. And it's so difficult that my whole life I have to focus it. So you see, every one of these 3 opinions, 3 aspects, is a life, is a work for lifetime. But actually, empirically, it turns out during the history that the most important opinion, the most important aspect of working is the work between a man and himself, because the most difficult thing is where I am actually the enemy of myself. If I have a bad manners, it's hard for me to realize, to admit, to have a repentant, and so that's why the Rambam actually saved us and just gave us the consequence and the bottom line, that the most important things to be concentrate is the Tractate of Fathers, because it talks much about the work of a man and himself. Okay, any questions? Is it clear to understand these 3 opinions? Okay.
Sir, doubts we are clear about.
Great, okay. So
out of these 3 opinions, Avot and the study of Nezikin and blessings, out of these 3 opinions, we are going to start Avot.
Right. That's what Avot is focused about. It focused about the work of a man with his conscience, with himself, fixing the man's characters and behavior. Yes, that's the.
We are not going to study about Father's Tractate, but the introduction of the Father's Tractate.
Right. Actually, we are
going to learn about the introduction.
Yeah, we start learning the Rambam introduction to the Father's Tractate, but along this learning, I guess we can talk about many of the sentences, of the verses found in the Father's Tractate, which are beautiful and eternal sayings that it's very elevating and gives joy to hear and to listen over and over and to have this influence.
I
Okay, very well.
I hope that this study of many chapters of Rambam will be a platform for us. It will be a very good platform for us to initiate.
Yeah, definitely. זה הבסיס בשבילנו כאילו.
Right, yes. Yes, definitely. I think you're right. It's something a man can learn all his life and continue and be better and better over the years. Yes.
Yes, sir. This
Okay.
is definitely one of the things you have to learn.
Yes. So I want to go back to your question and ask why actually this such an important moral writing is located at the middle of the Nezikin series, middle of the writings about physical damage, physical property damage between neighbors, and there are some. One story. I will tell you one story from Father's Tractate, just to demonstrate this issue. There is a story about one of our old sages called Hillel, the old Hillel, and there was a Gentile that came to Hillel and asked him to learn all the Torah in one sentence. He came to a Gentile came to Hillel, sage Hillel, and said, "Please teach me all the Torah, all your Torah in one sentence." Or there are other verses where he said, "Teach me all Torah when I'm standing on one foot." So the answer that the sage Hillel answered this man, he said, "What you hate, don't avoid doing what you hate to your friend." That's what he said. He said, anything you don't like, don't do it to your friend, to your neighbor. And how does it sound to you? I think in the first listening to such an answer, it sounds weird. We have such a great Torah that Moses, our teacher, gave us, but what Hillel choose to say is just don't do bad things to your friend. If they ask me, I can think why not saying more positive things like Rabbi Akiva, one other of the greatest sages, Jewish sages. He said, love your friend as you love yourself. He said that's a great rule of the whole Torah. Love your friend as you love yourself. That's much. It sounds nicer at first time. What do you think? Anyone can think of an answer why sage Hillel he chose to emphasize the negative side and not the positive side? So okay, I will give you the yes, please.
Obviously, there might be some reason, sir, of his negative answer.
Right. So there is several answers, various answers for this, and perhaps we can start saying that in some way, when I help someone, when a mother help her child, it can be understood as an act of force, of to enforce myself, on the other, not letting him to be free, not give him the respect to choose to do what he's on. For example, we have stories like for Jews, Jew mothers, they over care their child. They give the child everything and let him have all, food all the time and clothes and calling him 200 times a day to see that he's okay and he has no issue. But such a child of a Jewish mother sometimes can be angry about this, can be act not with understanding it and angry about this behavior of his mother, right? He can say, okay, it's too much for me. I want to be free. I want to have my space. I don't know how is it in your place, but we encounter this. We experience this more commonly in Israel. So okay. So I think that we can say that what Sage Hillel meant to say is that giving your friend a place, a free place, giving him respect to be himself and not to force him, is a great things to do. It has a really high value when I accept you how you are. I'm not telling you what you have to do and that I have to help you. And that's the reason that Hillel chose to say just don't do what you don't like to your friend, and that internally means that you respect your friend and not enforce your beliefs and your desires upon him.
Sir, give one more example about this, sir.
Pardon me, can you repeat?
One more example.
Yeah.
He's asking one
One
Ah.
more example
Okay.
regarding
Okay, for example, let's say any kind of a relationship. For example, when you in your workplace, a simple example. If I work and I have my boss, so my boss can monitor me like for every act I do, and look at his watch and say, okay, what are you going to do now? What you're going to do in an hour? What are you going to do? I will give you the tools for what you have to do, and I will tell you exactly every detail what you have to do. Then a man a worker can come and feel like he has no free will. He has no space, has no place for his creativity, for his thinking. And on the other hand, if I am working and my boss said, okay, I believe you will know what to do for any problem. If you have any problem, I'm always there for you to call me. Just go and do the best to fulfill your mission, your task. If you see what I'm getting to. So that's just a simple example. But in the Judaism, this example is taken very, very seriously, and actually that's it could be an explanation why the Father's Tractate is located right here in the Nezikin series, because it's the most Yes, please.
Sir, 1 second. You were talking about the negative aspect. Why the sage Hillel used the negative sense.
Right.
For that, you are giving the example just now. The boss wants to see or observe all the acts. In that sense, what is the negativity of that?
Oh, I see.
Like, in what way is it connected to the exam, to the sage Hillel, what he said?
Okay. So perhaps there is a slight confusion here, because Hillel said something that is negative in the meaning of his that is it's non-active way of work. It's actually a passive way, just not doing any harm to my friend. But I gave you the opposite way, which is a boss and his worker, that if he is too much involved in this worker, so he's too much positive, then it actually come to be a bad state. While if he obey Hillel's directives to just let him do what he do, let him work as he best think, so he will get to better results. I don't know if there are some scientific research about these two different attitudes, but I think if a boss want to go according to Hillel's way, then he just have to how to call it, you have to tell the worker that he believes and he has the assurance that his worker will do the best and will get to the best result, and be more negative in this way. So it's a positive negative way of acting. So actually the Rambam, according to this way of thinking, the Rambam has a very interesting law of halakha. I can ask you a question. What do you think is best to do if we already talked about poor men? What do you think it's best to do? To give a donation to a poor man, or to give a loan? To give
Loan.
What do you think is best to do? Give a loan to a poor man, or just donate some portion of money for him to get better?
I think option number 1.
You think
Option number 1, to give it, to give donation to the poor man,
And donation.
right?
rather than giving loan.
Right. So actually, I definitely agree that it's the natural thing to see as best for a poor man, because he gets a donation, and then he's happy and go buy food for Shabbat and clothes to his children. But the Rambam actually says that if you have these two options, perhaps the second option could be the best one. And he says, by his priority, if you can give a man a loan and you actually preserve his dignity, his respect, and he will, with this loan, he can go and start work and earn a salary, and then he can give you back his loan, and he will be happy and proud of himself that he got to a better state, a better financial state. So the Rambam says that gives a man more respect, more dignity, and an ability to be free and act in this world. So if you have these two choices, the Rambam saying to us, preferring the loan option can be even better. Of course, yes.
Rambam's second thing which we are explaining right now, there is also two options, no, sir. One person, he may not be able to work. In that sense, we have to help him only, no? If he is able to work, then we can give him loan to work, to uplift him. If he is not in a place to, he is a disabled person and he cannot work, in that sense we have to help him.
זאת אומרת, אם הוא אומר,
I didn't hear
הוא
everything
אומר,
you said. Yes, please.
אם הוא לא יכול בכלל לתפקד, אז אי אפשר לתת לו הלוואה. זאת אומרת, אם הוא למשל נכה או משהו שבכלל לא יכול.
Okay, right. Very right. You are. I think you are right, saying that perhaps there is a precondition that a man is able to go and do something with the benefit with this loan. Yes, if he totally unable to help himself, then you are actually right. But that's the Rambam explained it. The first option is a loan. If loan is not realistic to gain something, then donation is the next best thing to do. Yes, in that manner you're right.
Sir, suppose if that person takes the loan and he misuses it, and he comes again and says, I have kept the money in the business but I am lost, so I need again help. So if that process continues, what is the option?
Okay, that's an interesting, more advanced question. But I think you have to make a consideration, and you have to see to know how to evaluate what are the risks and are the chances for benefit or for doing the right thing, the good thing. So if you think a man is not responsible enough to do the good things with the loan, then I think you can say that maybe it's not the best option. We have a rule. Actually, we have a rule in the charity aspect that says if a man asks you for water and clothes, you don't ask any question. If a man is hungry and asks for food, doesn't matter who it is, I have to give him food and something to dress. But as you said, if a man has no problem of food and clothes, he just want to do some business that are risky and not well defined, so that in this way you have to start asking him exactly what's going to be with this loan, with the money you give him. So the question is very, very right in this case.
Then what is the option? What shall we do about that person?
You have to check everything.
Okay. So if you think, for example, if a man is alcoholistic, addicted to alcohol, and I think I give him charity, I will give him money to come out of it and start work and stop drinking. But this man is going and buying a drink at the moment he stepped out of my door. Then I totally missed the mitzvah. I didn't feel any commandment of charity. Yeah, I didn't earn any commandment. So in this case, I have to tell this guy either go to the doctors or go to psychologists or anything else you think can help. Yeah.
Anywhere else, but
yeah, but
Sir,
no.
Sir, 1 second.
Yes.
We know very well that this person is trying to cheat us. He wants to cheat us, but we know very well that he is lying.
If we know.
If you know that he's lying, so I think it's easier. Your state
You
is
know what
easier.
to do.
Uh, if he's really poor and it's useful for him, then I can give him something. But if I know it will go to alcohol, then it's my
This is not mitzvah.
So,
Yeah.
It is not considered as mitzvah.
yes, please.
helping such kind of person will not be considered as a mitzvah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that right?
That's right. If you have a reasonable way to know that this will go for alcohol and not for clothes to poor men children, then you have to know it's not a mitzvah, and
You can choose.
you cannot do it.
Or not.
That's right. That's right.
No, without knowing, ignorantly we have given him. Then also will it be considered as not considered as mitzvah?
If we doesn't know about him.
You're asking. Okay. If I don't know a person's state.
If he is a but helped him, then will it be considered or
I
it
think
will not be considered?
I'm not totally sure, but I think if I have no way knowing that a man is actually going to do bad misuse in with the charity, then it still counts as a mitzvah for me, because after all, I gave him after I thought reasonably that it's the right state to do. So it can't be my fault when later on something has changed, or life is always interesting and changing. So this is not my fault. I think the mitzvah was earned before something got wrong. But it's a good question to more contemplating. Yes.
Initially, at the first time, ignorantly we have given, and that person takes advantage on us. Every time he comes, and after 3 or 4 times repeated, we come to know that he is misusing the money. So then we can tell him not to come and ask.
That's right.
Right? So we can tell him. In that sense, then we are not insulting him.
That's right. I mean, I have to know how to tell a person in the most unoffending way, but I must refuse in some way. I must refuse giving more, because I don't have.
So it does not insult that person. It is not insulting that person in that sense.
Yeah, definitely.
If you do it right,
He will be offended, no sir. If you refuse it in a soft way or in any thing, he will be offended, no.
So maybe in this case I have to make more effort and explain that I am obligated to avoid and I have no choice. I have no other choice but refusing him, because that's my belief, that's my way of life, and it's contradicting with all my way of life. I mean, I have to try to the best effort I can convince and tell him in the best words I can tell. That's right.